First, I want to offer my support and prayers to the families here who have lost loved ones at Camp Ashraf. And I also want to say how incredibly personally moving each of the personal testaments have been here today. I mean, truly, we are all Ashraf, I think. I'm quite honored to be here with my colleagues on today's panel. They are among the world's leading experts on several of the critical elements of the 10-point plan, everything from nuclear disarmament to an independent judiciary to voters' rights. But I want to focus on a specific point, point number 5. To me, it's the most important one, and that is complete gender equality. My friend and former boss Hillary Clinton made history in 1995 by traveling to Beijing for a global women's summit to argue that women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. Madame Rajavi, in her writings and through her own life, has taken this concept a step further, pointing out that the fight for women's equality is indistinguishable from the fight for global peace. Mrs. Rajavi speaks about principles, but there is a cold, hard political reality to it. Without point number 5, you won't have the power or the moral authority, for that matter, necessary to achieve points 1 through 4 and 6 through 10. For me, women like Mrs. Rajavi and Suna are examples of why the fight for gender equality is so important. Fortunately, Mrs. Rajavi's Beijing moment comes every year, when supporters gather for NCRI's conference. The last one in Paris, which I had the absolute privilege of attending, drew more supporters than the Democratic and Republican national conventions combined. That crowd in Paris and the spirit that it conveyed was a powerful example of the better life waiting for the people in Iran. I saw a sea of people committed to a free Iran, people committed to ending the torture and the executions there, and people committed to fighting for gender equality. I saw the same courage, commitment, and tenaciousness demonstrated in Beijing 25 years ago. My second point is this. If you want to change attitudes about gender, about what is acceptable behavior and what is not, you need to act at every level. Women are about 1/3 of the residents at Camp Liberty, and they play a leadership role there. Over 50% of the 500 members of the National Council of the Resistance of Iran are women. Its leader is a woman. The fact that NCRI's leadership includes so many women is incredibly important for your success today, for the impact that it will have on the women who rise through NCRI's ranks, and for the example you're setting for younger women back in Iran. I have seen the power here in the United States firsthand. Hillary didn't just endorse policies that help women, but she put them in key position, and once they were there, created a work environment that allowed them to have meaningful, demanding careers and raise a family. When you consider what Mrs. Rajavi and her colleagues have gone through, a comparison to American politics may seem trivial. Suna and I have talked about the young, talented Iranian women ready to take greater control over their own lives. For them, the women of NCRI and their role in NCRI's growing success are powerful role models. My third and final point is that there is a momentum behind the kind of battle that we're talking about today. Gains in economic power lead to gains in political power. The prosperity Iranians outside Iran are enjoying should inspire those still there. Meanwhile, progress in one nation can shine a light on corruption and injustice in another. And of course, social media and other new technologies are creating an entirely new momentum of their own, one that can literally deliver Madame Rajavi's stirring words to millions of followers in seconds. Today, I stand here across the street from the White House talking about how to save young women half a world away. What can we do? The first thing we must do is remember Madame Rajavi's advice. Equality is a critical step to the road to world peace, and the second is to follow her example. Mrs. Rajavi and her team filled a stadium full of people drawing supporters from across the world to create an example that the tyrants in Iran will have a hard time ignoring. Thank you.